Guys, gals, and non-binary pals, this is the Peter Greenwood Show. I thank you for your time and for your patience. And my guest is Vissia. Hello, Vissia. How are you doing today? Are you well?
I am. Yes, thanks for asking.
I should point out, by the way, for listeners, this may get a little bit weird because we're recording this over Zoom, but there's video involved, and I've never, ever done a video interview over Zoom. So I may be like, hey, look at this. So for listeners listening, it may get a bit weird. Stick with us. So we're here to talk about the single. It is called My Wom. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
You are.
Because I saw it and I was like, My Wom? My Wom? I wasn't sure how to pronounce it. So the single is called My Wom.
Yeah.
And the album is called With Pleasure. Let's talk about the single. What is My Wom about? Where did it come from?
Right. Well, yeah, the term My Wom, it's short for woman, and it was kind of a term of endearment among some of my closest women friends for a while there. And I just wanted to write a song for, all of my fun, smart, wild women in my life because I'm very blessed to have a handful of really badass ones, and we really support each other and are there for, all the ups and downs. And this is kind of just an anthem in a way about really owning your power and I don't know, simply put, owning your power, stepping into it, rocking it. So it's kind of my tribute to those women, and I guess by way of that to myself as well.
Absolutely. Why not celebrate yourself?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Has it been difficult to keep in contact with people during these trying times as they're known? What's it been like for you during this period?
Well, I think what I've realized is, just having this space where you don't get to just run into people at your favorite pub or something like that. It has definitely been revealing in, showing me which relationships I really want to make sure that I'm nurturing and keeping going. And so definitely I'm very grateful for technology, being able to, FaceTime the people who are closest to me. I have been fortunate enough to spend some, outdoor time, safely distanced with friends. So we've tried to do that. But it's even comes down to just having the old-fashioned group chat on Instagram, just to be able to check in or send stupid memes to each other, or if someone needs to gripe about something, we're there to listen to one another. So I don't know. I feel like just living in this age that we live in, it's there are so many ways that we can still stay in touch, and I'm grateful for that.
Memes have been a big part of the past year, haven't they? What's been your favorite meme?
Oh my gosh. I don't even know if I could name a favorite one because my memory is just the worst. But I might have to come back to that one. But I do follow a lot of astrology accounts because I'm an astrology nerd. And so I get a huge kick out of astrology memes. I will say it. So maybe one of my favorite accounts, Not All Geminis on Instagram, makes the best astrology memes. So
Not All Geminis. Look that up. Go tell him Vissia sent you.
Yeah. She doesn't even need me to promote her, probably.
Yeah. One of my favorite memes, and it was around before lockdown, is the meme of the lady yelling at the cat.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. I love that one. Like, she's going at the cat and the cat's just like,
yeah,
so much fun.
That cat face is around everywhere.
Yeah, it's just brilliant. So let's talk about the album as well. It is called With Pleasure. It was released on the 30th of April. Congratulations. I have listened to it in preparation for this interview. Congratulations on it. It's brilliant. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
What's the process like putting an album together?
Well, I mean, the process for putting together this record started probably like 2 years before it actually came out. Definitely 18 months before. But with this one, I had applied for, in Canada, there is funding available if you apply, if your application is strong. So I was applying for funding leading up to it, just because that was very important in terms of being able to do what I wanted with it, having the resources. But so it kind of started there. And then once I was approved I thought, oh, well, I guess I have to write the rest of the album now. So, because, being an independent artist, you are often doing all types of different gig work and just like hustling to live. And so I was fortunate enough to receive some funding that allowed me to really focus on my craft and writing. And so it started there. And then I went into the studio at the top of 2020, January, February, and we recorded all the songs. All the tracking was finished by, I think, March 3rd. And then, yeah, into the mixing phase. And that's when the pandemic came home here. And so, my touring plans got thrown out, and we just had to kind of pivot to doing the things that we could. And I say we because I do have a really good friend of mine who produced the record. He's behind the scenes of everything I do, Nick Davies. And so we're very much in a great creative partnership that way. But yeah, it's like record the thing and then figure out how you want to start showing it to the world, because there's a lot of prep that goes in before releasing the full record. So we started releasing singles at the end of October of 2020. And then I think I released 4 different singles before the record came out. So yeah, it's a journey, but one that I really enjoy. And I think it's important to enjoy every step of the way and not get too impatient about it, because as an artist, you live with these songs for so much longer than, the people who eventually hear them. So yeah, it feels good.
See, I find that so interesting because, as I said on this show before, I've said it before, I will say it again. I don't know anything about music. Like, if you put a gun to my head and said, write me a song, you'd have to pull the trigger. I have less than no idea about it. So I'm always in awe of people who can do it, especially when it comes to putting together an album, because it just seems like there's so much work that goes into it, but it also takes so long. Is that ever discouraging, how long it takes? Like, do you ever think we're never going to get this done and that kind of thing?
No, not really. I mean, I think my personality wise, like, honestly, it's like when I think now, I've been doing my solo project for 10 years, because I started doing solo work in 2011. And to think of that, like 10 years, you're like, oh my God, like, how did that happen? But it's kind of just, it's like building any, I don't know, I'll call it a business because it really is, but you're an entrepreneur in a way too, and you can't expect things to just happen immediately. But I think when I was younger, I was a lot more impatient. You're like ready and you're like, okay, I just want this out and I want, people to hear it. But I've learned that all of those foundational activities leading up to the release are super important, because you do spend all of this time creating your work. And so you want to make sure it has the best chance at, for lack of a better word, success. Like, you want people to hear it. So it's something I really learned to embrace, and just like trying to be more present with each part of the process, right? Because otherwise you're always going to be thinking about the future. And I don't think that's really, you can't live in the future. So
Yeah.
so you really have to kind of embrace the present moment. And the thing with this record, though, honestly, it's the fastest process I've experienced with making a record for the actual production and like creating it, because I had more deadlines, more of a timeline. Whereas in the past, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I write songs over the years, eventually have enough that I'm ready to put on a record. Maybe some of them I've been playing for, 3 to 4 years already. But yeah, this felt good to kind of shift into a different gear in a way.
This is the voice of Vissia. She is here to talk about her single. It is called My Wom, and the album, which was released on the 30th of April, called With Pleasure. There's a quote from you that says, when I started writing With Pleasure, I had a completely different idea for what I thought the project was going to be. What originally was With Pleasure? Can you tell us about the original ideas for the record?
Sure. Well, before I even came up with the idea of With Pleasure, I had this other idea that was going to be, I don't know, a bit more serious, I guess, which is funny because I think there is some seriousness in some of the songs on the record, but I would say less maybe about the songs so much as just how I was approaching it, like energetically and emotionally in a way. I thought, okay, this is going to be an introspective, like, I was throwing around the title like How to Surrender. Like I was just going a totally different direction. And then when I actually sat down to start writing, I mean, the first song that I sat down to write was Walk Me Home, which is very introspective. It's very much self-reflective, and about doing internal work. But throughout the process of just gathering these other songs, and kind of really deliberately deciding to go in a different kind of musical direction from my rootsy kind of folk upbringing, I started to decide like, okay, I just want to do what feels good and what feels pleasurable. And so that's where the idea for With Pleasure came from. And the title came after all of the songs were written. But it's the first time I've really, delved into writing songs that aren't just about heartbreak, for example. There are some dancier tracks on the record and songs that are just about really feeling good in the moment. And it's just, I guess that just reflects where I'm at personally in my life right now. It's something I'm trying to really embrace and taste fully, is just like joy in all of its dimensions. So, yeah.
I also wanted to ask, we're going to be playing the single in a bit, and I thank you for your time today. But before we go, I wanted to ask about the podcast as well. It's called Making Out With Vissia.
Yeah.
Tell us about the podcast a little bit.
Sure, yeah.
Doing it?
So Making Out With Vissia is the evolution of an Instagram live series I started in 2020, near the beginning of the pandemic, at least here in Canada, the pandemic coming here. I think it was June 2020. And I just wanted a chance to see how other artists were doing because, I mean, I would say I was handling things in my own way, which is like be productive or like have things to work on. That's just kind of how I operate. That's my coping. Whereas I had other friends who were like, I don't want to play an instrument. I don't want to write. I don't want to create. Like life feels so heavy. And that's valid, really. So I just wanted a chance to, connect, touch base, check in, and learn about other folks, origin stories in music and how they work and how they operate. And it ended up being so fulfilling for me personally that I decided, okay, well, I might as well spin this into podcast format as well. It's never a bad idea to try and reach out further. So yeah, it's been really fun. And I'm going all the way till June 29th, 2021. And then I'll take the summer off and then I'll pick up again in the fall. And so far I've interviewed Canadian artists, but I do anticipate in the future I'll be, reaching out across borders as well. So, yeah.
If you need a guest, I'll come on and do it. I'm not a musician, as I said, but I'll come on. I'll be on your podcast.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for the pitch.
My pleasure. How do you enjoy being on the other side of it? Because I'm asking you questions. Do you enjoy being the interviewer?
Yeah, I really do. It's something that I've learned now. I'm like, okay, I really love being, I said to someone yesterday, I guess, something like, like everyone I think has, everyone has their own story. And it's just my job to like facilitate the telling. So, and it's been such a fun process to learn how to do that. And the way I've really learned is, listening to podcasts that I think are awesome and great and just like noticing like how interviewers work. And it's also, about really figuring out your own style as well, because I consider mine to be more of a conversation as opposed to like a straight up interview. But yeah, and you have to know how to improvise too, because, you're speaking to a different person each time. And I think it's my job to make them feel comfortable and at ease. And so it's less about me and more about them. And yeah, one of the things that really got me paying attention to the art of conversation is Celeste Headley's book, We Need to Talk, and, how to have better conversations. And that was kind of like a nice little spark before I even started this podcast, like years before. I was just interested. So yeah, I really enjoy it. And I think it's a great way to learn about people. And I just love, promoting others and what they're doing in their work. So
yeah, it's so much fun to sit and do this. Like I used to do a drive time show where time was kind of a an issue. So to be like, hi, come on, tell us about the song. Okay, let's go. We're doing this now. But with this new, well, I say new, it's been on the air like 3-4 years now. With this show, it's so much fun to sit and just have conversations with people. That's one of the things I enjoy most about it anyway. And it's good that there are other people who do that as well. It's interesting.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
This has been the voice of Vissia. Vissia, where can people find out about you online? What's your social medias?
Well, my social media handle is at Vissia_3. So that's VISSIA_3 on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Although I'm not super active on TikTok yet, but you can see me dancing. Yeah. And then my website is vissiamusic.com, which hosts all the links to everything. So when in doubt, just hit up the website.